Hi, everybody. This is Vicente Cruz, Oakland Greens event and fundraising coordinator. And better late than never, we are here for our November monthly general meeting. And as always, we will go over the agenda once we pull it up on my screen. And actually, there's some other things I have to get as well. Yeah, and back. So I don't think we need any introductions. We all know each other. It's all family here again. The first one was just a discussion item of Israel, Palestine, and Hamas. Events for 2024. Orlando has a proposition to do a music event, which we'll talk about, and then a debate and the movie nights and town halls for next year. Green Sunday report back. Excuse me. The APEC conference, Asian Pacific Economic Conference, is a 15 minutes discussion item and report back. Treasury report, social media outreach and announcements. Am I missing anything? None. So everyone knows what's going on over in Israel. And then next year for our live events, we will be, one of the events is on a more in-depth discussion about it. But wanted to get thoughts on camera for content and kind of an Oakland Greens perspective on all the things that are happening over there. Actually, the Oakland Greens IG account had a debate with our beloved Namaru, or back when she was running in the streets of running, being a ruckus to the system, Wendy, about the difference between, well, from my perspective, the Israeli government, Jewish people, the Palestinian people, Palestinian government, Hamas, Hamas as a government, and so on and so forth. So starting it off, what I am always talking about is factors. One is that Israel is like a bigger bully, whereas Israel, the government, has this in-depth, well-funded, organized military, whereas Hamas and most of the Palestinian, maybe not most, but Muslim groups are more guerrilla, forced to be guerrilla fighters, as opposed to actual militaries. Even though I guess Hamas is really better equipped this time, I still don't think, it still seems like a senior in high school beating up a kindergarten to me. And also the fact that it's been going on for so long, and then you have settlements, and aside from the fact that it's been going on for thousands of years, but settlements, and just it seems like the government has a policy of trying to out and out commit genocide, where we'll just wipe them out, right? It's not even like the old prima nocta where we'll breed them out, right? They're just taking on an actual government out and out policy of like more extermination. We'll just do that, which I think is ironic coming from a group of people, not the government, but a group of people who have been persecuted for so long. We're talking thousands and thousands of years, and are trying to do the same thing again. So almost like a Muafa as well. That's happening to the Palestinian people on my respect. And I will break for a second, and anyone have any thoughts to start out with? Come on, Oakland Greens. What's your ideas on? Oh, is you, Dale? Please, yes, please. Oh, you have to unmute. You're gonna have to unmute, sir.
I think many of us are concerned with the escalation of anti-Semitism and Islamic phobia and all of this, but it's a strange thing, because if today, if a college student at Brandeis University goes out to protest and is holding up a sign that says "two wrongs don't make a right," he can be accused of hate speech. This is strange. in terms of what's going on the college campuses. And also, the right wing is really able to exploit this here in this country. I mean, it can go back to all the nonsense about the Jewish space lasers setting all the forest fires here in California. But now they can say that it's not just, killing Jesus Christ or something, that some garbage from the past, all that stuff. But they can say now they're murdering, 5,000 children, in Gaza or something. They're killers of children or something. But what it does is it makes it possible to demonize both the Arabs and the Jews, which is, I think what the white Christian nationalists really want to do. The Jews will not replace us. The whole replacement theory, all this stuff that was building up that caused this the massacre in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and all at the synagogue there. So I think that's a concern that many of us might have. I have it anyway, for one.
Thank you. Anyone else want to go next, please?
I go.
Yes, Orlando. And then
No, go ahead. You go first, Pam.
remember to unmute. You must unmute. Wish I could just unmute on my own. When's Zoom going to give us that option? There you go, Pam.
Sorry about that. Yeah, among people I've talked to, some of them are taking sides, and but I think the majority of them are not taking sides. They want to see peace, and they want to see some kind of resolution. So I think that's for the good. That's probably the older crowd, and so I think we need to talk about it also by older and younger and what the influences are in those categories. That's just what I want to put out there.
Nice. Orlando, please.
My whole question around this whole situation is, what's the win without the W? So once we get this all situated and said and done, what's going to be the next war or the next humanitarian crisis that us in America have to witness on the news every 6 months? And these people live through this genocide every day. So how can we make this a lifestyle of continued supporting, not just those around the country, but those who coming back to this country with mental illness and using public perception for profit to make gains off this tragic situation? So I just think us as Greens, we just have the compassion in the heart to, just the empathy and sympathy is different, because we know the empathy, if you really been there, and the sympathy is the opposite, then you can use it in reverse languages. But for me, I just pray for them, and I pray that the United States stop, their media, let's stop having who get paid the most to share the most gruesome, horrible stories. And we know that people in Africa over here, they're dying of starvation. And, the Egyptians that originally owned Gaza and had the land until the king went over there and had this, they're the same people fighting each other. It's not a separation, it's one people. So that's my gripe on it, but I just pray for them.
I wonder if they actually will end up getting our video removed for even having this conversation. I'll have to edit possibly, but it does open up a larger conversation about the military industrial complex. And when we can't even house our homeless, our houseless people, and have health care for our mental people that are suffering with mental illnesses and all those things, like, well, should we be, funding this war by itself, whether or not you are, where you align on the issue, right? Is this something like, well, we can't afford to be doing this? And not only, again, the moral question of just participating in a genocide. Then even I think that for people, and in my experience, it's the young people that are sick and tired of the fucking war, right? That are on the side of peace. And I think that is a side that, okay, I don't care whatever our disagreements are, like let's just make a decision that we're not going to kill each other, period, right? Because civilians are dying on both sides. And that was one of the arguments I had too about it. It's like, well, the Israeli government, well, if you're so fucking big and bad, and you know that the actual guerrilla fighters are using human shields and they're underneath hospitals, whatever. All right, so what the fuck? You won't got a special forces? IDF doesn't have a special forces? Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? Oh, well, the ground invasion. You didn't even need undergraduate, fucking 7 guys. Go in there, fucking do your thing, right? But if it is what other people are saying is that they're not doing that, that there may be, you know, still because it is an urban war in neighborhoods, but they're not using civilians. And again, you're just trying to commit genocide. Well, then, okay, because maybe that's the real reason. You don't want that shit on camera, right? Because everything that's coming out of there isn't any military, any guerrilla fighters being killed. They ain't fucking showing any of that shit. It's all civilians, it's all children, right? But you have this most sophisticated military in, you know, as one of the world's, but no. So, I mean, no one, I don't believe it. So I think that peace itself is a side. And as I said, in my experience, it's the young people, it's the old people that are fighting so much and have chosen either, all Jewish people have to go, or all Muslim people or Palestinians have to go, right? It's more the older people of that generation. And I'm also afraid of, well, is anyone, especially in this group, if I'm going to say that America doesn't have deep-seated history in anti-Semitism? Shit, man. One of the reasons I get taken to Disneyland is because I keep making jokes about Walt Disney being anti-Semitic. No, you can't be saying that shit inside of the line for Splash Mountain, right? So it's like, it's not anything new. In fact, there's, it might even be fucking mainstream Rachel Maddow, who just put out a book about actual, like when we had like Nazis and, you know, that right before World War II, that there was also, we have been this close to fascism once before. There was like a lot of people, luckily there was just a larger majority. Now it's not so much. It seems to me that the country split really, really kind of down the middle. But that this country was really like, oh, we might have been fighting on the side of the Axis instead of the so-called allies. Right, it was, you know, very, very, it wasn't just Disney or Ford, right? There's tons and tons of people that do that. So I think that does concern me as well. And it's something that is also deep rooted in our history. It shouldn't surprise anyone. That is racism, fucking all that shit is all tied in together. And last, before I open it back up again, there is this also, like the fundamental Christians here in this country are really putting a lot of effort behind it, because they're kind of, there's this also fringe group here that want to see it because they think it's going to bring around, you know, the end of days and Jesus will come back and judge the living and the dead and all that shit, right? If you believe that, you know, and Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus come and bring gifts. But so there's a group as well that's part of America too that are want to see that happen and are really into and lobby hardcore for the government to make sure in funding. Yeah, Greg? Yes,
yeah, I think you're right in terms of young people being motivated to get out, especially to the protests. You know, there's been at least 3 big protests in San Francisco, and I was at 2 of them. And yeah, the overwhelming majority are young people, but nevertheless, I think the polls say that 2/3 of the American public want a ceasefire. So, you know, that's not just the young people who get 2/3 of the public. So again, you know, it's the wealthy and powerful forces and the politicians that serve them that are not following the interests of either the public or of, you know, all the humanitarian crisis, basically. I mean, all kinds of non-US aligned countries, the UN, you know, speaking out about the humanitarian crisis that's going on. So yeah, it is truly horrible, but at the same time, I also am reasonably happy that there's been a significant amount of protests of all different kinds across the country, including, of course, Jewish groups that are getting out there. And I think they down the Oakland Federal Building, right? Didn't they close down the Oakland Federal? So, you know, the protests I think are just going to keep continuing, and they're now talking about some kind of negotiation to have some kind of pause, and they only use the word ceasefire. So, you know, it seems to be having an effect, I think.
Orlando, please.
Yeah, I agree with you added on, Greg, about the protests and the younger group. But I think a lot of the younger group missed the bigger picture when it comes to organizing and grassroots protesting. There's a lot of COINTELPRO, there's a lot of CIA agents, there's a lot of FBI agents throwing these protesters in March and spearheading it, and no one is doing background checks on the leaders or even the emails that we get. And sometimes that makes the elders more vulnerable who laid the foundation for us to really organize and protest. So if we are going to be a political party or a movement and doing things, and we get infiltrated by the government, that's what happened to Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X, Gandhi, you say all the great leaders. So I just personally learned from the elders, be cautious going into these protests and getting these emails and seeing who referring you or using your party label just to be part of this public genocide. We're killing ourselves. We're so in, I mean, there's nothing wrong with sticking with the world country, but our own people is having the same issue. San Francisco just cleaned themselves up as a pilot program to show that they can get the homeless and get the garbage and stuff off these streets. And right now, after the APEC summit is over with, we're going to go back to business as usual. So that's my overview.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, I am also pleased that there's protest. I still am cynical enough going, if the changes, if they will even stop for a pause or whatever, it's only because it's in their best interest. I do not think that the current system really, it's an illusion of choice when they let you protest. As if that makes any difference. The only way it's going to be different is if we get people before profit candidates. I'm sure that's not the only way. I think that is probably one of the only peaceful ways. And it's definitely something that we have tried for not just alternative political parties, but voting local, alternative candidate, people before profit candidates who will actually go back and wipe the slate clean and start all over. But yes, and I'm sure that we all agree, we have one of the same sentiments is that, it's like, we just can't afford it. We clean up your own fucking backyard before you're bitching at your neighbor because they've got, too many cars on the fucking property. Like, really? Dude, really? You're trafficking young women out of your fucking, and you're going to come and talk to me about fucking morality. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to leave my rusty cars out there. Be more about could have came at me with the environment on that one. I also, though, I guess, I don't, you never know. We actually have my thing I was saying too, that if it's on the internet, it's definitely fake. But, on the Bay Bridge one, supposedly some organs were trying to be transported and, they didn't make it. The organs died because they had locked down Bay Bridge. I've actually never been, I think we lose people. Again, going way back in the history when I was still out there sucking tear gas, direct action to stop war, we actually was a conscious effort to not take over any one corner for a very long time, just long enough to hand out flyers and information about whatever we were mostly at that time was also anti-war. And then moving on. Also, we saw the benefit too, by moving around so much and having different, breaking up into groups and taking over different corners and all that, it was harder for the police to kettle us all in as well, and so they never knew where we were going, and of course that was way before internet and drones and everything, but still, so I think that Well, also, I think all protests now should be nothing but rallies for trying to find candidates. Like, how do we create the news, and not even just create a movement? How do we just create the new system? How do we get the people? Whereas when I'm out there, I'll scream it to us like every one of you, especially the people that we hold most dear in our activist community, you all know someone who would be a great, great city council person, school board member, fucking sanitation, dog catcher, fucking every position. You know all those people, and you're all right here. You could elect them. You'd never have to come out here again. You'd sit home, smoke weed, play video games. Wouldn't have to fucking worry about it anymore, right? Fucking your houseless, got you, right? Everybody's gonna have this basic standard of living. And the rest of you that have all these genius minds that can organize and do this, probably we're missing out on fucking cancer research, and who knows how many geniuses are out there that could be doing other things, but they're committing their lives into trying to change the system. Yeah, that's my rant on that one. What else do I have too? Oh, how we protest. Oh, I already said that too, that I'm still cynical thinking that they don't really listen. They don't give a shit about us, right? Until we actually are the council making the decisions and the senators and shit like that. Like, these motherfuckers ready to do fucking MMA on there now. And I will admit too, fucking for a camera and the 20 people, 25 now that usually watch YouTube too. I have my shadow side too going, yeah, come on, right into chaos. Let's do it. Because fuck this shit. Oh, 500 years of this? Fuck this, man. Fucking let it go. See what the fucking it gets you. They fucking like it'll be the fucking what is the poem, the activist poem too? They came for one group and I wasn't that group, so I didn't say anything. And nobody gonna be left, motherfucker, and it's just gonna be you by yourself. And I can't do nothing for you at that point, right? They already came from me, bitch. So you're fucked. Oh, with that, does anyone have anything else on the difference between? Well, actually, let me ask that question too. So, would people agree with the statement that there's a difference between Jewish people and Israel, the government? Yes?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Okay, that's an easy one. Just for the record, for people that will watch this and all that too. Does anyone have anything else? Well, okay, here, look at that. Before I do it, it pops in my head. We also all agree, Dale's first point too, that we think that America has deep-rooted history in anti-Semitism. Yeah, everybody would say that would be yes. Yeah, okay. For the record. I don't have any more. Anything else on Israel, Palestine? Seeing none, great discussion. Thanks everyone for your participation. The next one on agenda, we get to move into things that are not as serious, or at least more fun. The events for 2024. I can give mine and then I'll let Orlando go actually. So the one big one I'd like to do next year is actually, I've said it before that I actually wanted to do a real debate, like try and find actually I have contacted before, but like a debate team from a college and have them be judges and other stuff too. I'd like to try and see if I can get Rose on back on this one as well. So that would be our big in-person event next year at the end of 2024. Movie nights and town hall. I spoke directly with Chris again today. Mid-December, I'm going to go and I'm going to have my own key. So that way we do it. There is the town halls are already up on Eventbrite. I want to say up until April. Mark, you can check it if you go to oaklandgreens.org events. You click on the event page link and it'll bring up everything that's there. So I've already started doing that and advertising for that. These are all going to be hybrid events. We've already picked all of the topics, and now it's just a matter of getting them all up on. What I'll probably do is do 6 months of town halls and then do 6 months of movie nights and then finish them off if I don't get to, for whatever reason, don't get to it before the new year, so that we have both on there. We have two. Well, go and check it out, because there's different tickets now because we're doing hybrids and everything like that. So I really look forward to that. And of course, now moving on to, or unless does anyone have any questions about the Oakland Greens events for that one? We'll also be helping in Orlando's the music event that he approached me on. And Orlando, if you might go ahead and just give them the same pitch that you gave me.
Yeah, I was thinking about like we did a while ago at the Oakland Metro. You remember, Greg, when we had the candidates, they all come and we did music and gave out green information. And I think this is a good way to raise some money for the Oakland Greens and the continued events that's going on. But I think just having a diversity of spoken word music, just to, everybody like a little music. I think it would be good for us to do this for next year.
So if anyone that too, so it would be some sort of actual just a concert fundraiser, and I would have Orlando would find the actual talent, and then I would find the venue, and of course I have the equipment, the audio equipment. We could do the same thing. It could be a hybrid event as well. I would suggest sometime in spring or summer, because it would also be one of our larger events, because we may have to put money into that one. Definitely, of course, always for food. So I don't think anyone will object, but we just wanted to bring it up. I guess the only things too, because I mean, there's going to be no restriction on it's going to be a hip hop event, but there's going to be no censorship. So we all have to be comfortable with the fact that it may be topics that are talking about stories from the streets, the things that we kind of fight against, but they're really, raw and vulgar and some of the worst parts of what happens in the things that we call racism, sexism, homophobia, and things like that. So
we gonna make it PG, radio ready.
No, we won't. No, we won't. No, we won't do that. It would be an adult event, and we would not do that. I wouldn't want to do that. Of course, it's still a vote. I don't get to say, right? But my vote on it would be no. It's not. There's no. Yeah, no. It's a First Amendment. It's not a safe space. Actually, that's what it is. It's not a safe space. It's like the green room with Paul Prevents. If you're offended by anything, you probably shouldn't come. That would be my first event, and I can actually advertise it like that. Like we're not censoring. The uncensored. Actually, that could be a good marketing hook when you're making your graphics and everything like that. So, questions, concerns. Seeing that? Okay. So later we'll have to, really start talking about that even before the new year. And the easiest one, venue-wise, I could just, we could have it at It's Your Move Games if we have to. As venue as well, right? But there will still be security issues and things like that. And people will have to have a ticket to get in and those type of things. So anyway, any other questions? Yes, Pam?
Oh, well, I'm just wondering if you reach out to get volunteers and something of this dimension.
I always do, but I don't count on it. I usually pull my family in, and when we're talking about producing it as far as security, that would actually probably be a hireable offense, but I have people that I know. But all of my family that comes in, that's all volunteer work as well. Like every time when we were doing the in-person movies, and the people that come and set up the projector and the screen and all that, it's always volunteer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, again, I encourage you to go over to the Oakland Greens. Like I said, the first town halls are up. And moving on, it's a Green Sunday report back. I wasn't there, but I know a lot of you were. So actually, Greg, that's your wheelhouse. Could you give us a little summary of what happened last Green Sunday and county meeting?
Well, it's really Orlando. It's Orlando and Dawn and I guess Bill Baldrus and some organized with Pamela Price. So Maybe Orlando wants to.
You can definitely start it out and then, please.
You gonna go, Orlando?
I'm ready to go green 2024.
Well, how was it attended? Was it well attended?
I think there was like 25, maybe.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good with that. Any good questions? Like what stood out?
What stood out for me was just the love that we came out and people came out in the rain and really sit down and didn't let the rain bother us coming and supporting one another organic. But no fights or no bitter. The whole vibe was just nice. Especially when Pam came in. It just made the day just flow. Jam for the wisdom, it was just flowing. Torger with the starting up breakfast meal and Greg with his humbleness. It was nice.
Oh, Pam, I saw your hand, please.
Yeah, I was interested in how she came across to the public, and I didn't see any. She wasn't angry or all. She is pretty good, expressive, and even speaking, even made it a little light at times. I think that would be a good thing. How she came across, and she's able to cover all the questions that were asked of her. I think in a good manner. I was happy with her performance, you might say.
Nice.
I jump in. I apologize. I was talking about the signature drive. I was a step ahead of myself.
I thought so. I'm like, I didn't think it was in person.
Oh yeah, I believe it was I think her educational tool on what the district attorney and the roles that she's really fighting for and going against was well explained on the rules that she had to go through and what's her position and what she can do and what she can't do. But basically, political machinery is trying to oust her. But she did a great job at explaining that. And I encourage people to go watch the video themselves and then listen to the words that she said.
That was going to be my next question too. Was it actually recorded and it's up on the County Green site? It's good. Yes, I will check it out from my own and share that on ours as well. I wonder too, as soon as they really started kind of going after her, that's when usually it's like, oh, so she must be doing something good. Otherwise, they wouldn't be fucking with you. It's like, that's and that's something that my uncle used to say, right? That's still already a shameless plug for the movie nights because we're doing Let the Fire Burn again about the movement. But that was one of them, too. So I wish I could have made it, but I'm really have larger plans, and so I was like, I have to work as much as I can. So I was sorry that I missed it. Was anyone else there? Who else was there? Oh, Torger, please, yes.
Yeah, I attended, and she was really thorough, talked about how, Chesa got put out of office before this, and we talked about how these signature gatherers will just say anything. They're shameless because they were making money off each signature. And so if one guy said, well, I'm getting signatures to get Pamela Price off out of office, then the other guy would say, oh, I'm trying to get signatures to put her in office or make some shit up, like whoever, just to get someone to sign their sheet. It was really just ridiculous. And so fortunately, someone said that the money has pretty much run out on gathering signatures, but it looks like that they're going to get it on the ballot, I guess. I don't know.
Right. Do you know that answer, Orlando? Did they gather enough to get her off or at least put it on the ballot to recall her?
I don't believe they have enough. I
Okay.
believe after they paid enough people enough signatures and the money ran out, so the petition was. But I think people are starting to realize that the witch hunt is going against it. They're not buying it. But like Torgo said, they're going through strange measures of using her name, and it's really not even on the petition. They're coming to say, Pamela Price, this is a petition, sign this. And it's actually, we don't use the R word, but they try to use that to try to really get her out. And it's sad that these stores and markets allow these folks to stand in front of it to push it, even though it's freedom of speech, but not lies. And
Well, I'm with Professor McGonigal on that one, like not saying the words doesn't make it any more or less powerful. But I think also I've always had my own, it's not like open claims policy or anything like disclaimer, my own about people gathering signatures for money. I'm like, if you don't believe in the cause, like it could be anything. And I will admit one time in my life, I saw one person that was getting paid for both. So he had the one sheet where you want to take yes, and the other one no. And just had this people applying for both. I can do whichever one you want, right? Like too. I was like, wow. I think that has my own thing about like activism, like those type of social justice causes. You really should all be volunteer. You shouldn't be getting paid to do that stuff. I know that's not like the complete way of the river flows, especially when you get into being like Greenpeace and these huge. Anyway, but I've always had a problem with that, and I had seen that once, and I thought it was funny. And we actually have had when we were doing the Grand Lake Farmers Market for so long, we've gotten into debates with signature gatherers over that specific issue as well. When you said just shady ass shit, and I'm like, yeah, we've always been good about calling that shit out. So, well, I'm glad it was a good event. Anything else on Green Sunday? Seeing none, next on our list is APEC. I will start that one because I was involved down in APEC very, very often, and I did see, and well, I also, let's make it very, very clear. They did not take all of the houseless people and put them in housing, right? They just moved them to an area outside the city. All they did was make a perimeter so that all the dignitaries and fucking their families and shit could go around. And again, it was all clean. And definitely, yes, as soon as the barricades came down and there was no more security, right back to just regular business as usual. You can have your homes back, everything of that nature. The only thing that I give them is that they didn't just throw away people's stuff. They actually like just moved them like in the Tenderloin and out of the city. They did the whole Texas shuffle shit, put them on a bus, they roll the shit up, get the fuck out of here if you want. Or a way to evacuate them completely out of the city. Pawn them off to Oakland, right? We don't fucking care. And they're all fucking poor fucking black folks over there anyway, right? Nothing but the disparaged over there. So there wasn't like they actually cleaned up the city. But it does show how quickly they could do something if they wanted to do it, right? And there is housing. But I mean, that's like nothing new. They don't want to take tax dollars because the corrupt system, right? All the economics is all based on these corporations who are all just around profit. And somehow we need to convince the electorate to elect people who are going to go, well, 14 billion in 3 months. If you can't live on 10, your shareholders or whatever can't live on 10, there's something wrong with you. You need that fucking mental health care that we're talking about in the fucking universal healthcare system, because that just is it blows my fucking mind. And that is hard to do because I've done a lot of hallucinogens. That it fucking trips me the fuck out. I don't fucking get it. And we put up with it And we go and chain ourselves between cars and block bay bridges and go home and think that somehow we've done something. And it doesn't. We didn't do shit, right? I'm guilty of that. The only thing I caveat for the Oakland Greens on that is that we have been talking about rallies as recruitment for candidates a lot longer than anyone else. It gets me so angry. A lot longer. That's the only thing I can give us credit for. But all those times, direct action talk, all we did was go and make a bunch of noise and ruckus, and nothing, obviously nothing changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. Right? I mean, there's more people enslaved now. There's more human trafficking now than before. We still fucking, red hand your face. Indigenous people on the reservation, girls are going missing every fucking day. No one gives a shit, right? They're not blonde, blue-eyed. There's just the global shift to fascism is just, it's scary. It's out and out frightening. And we really need to do something before it's too late. Or I hope, I don't want to say hope. I did, the shadow side of me sometimes does hope. The planet will take care of it all. It's like, I got you. Never drinking water. Right? 2 weeks, everybody's gone. But that's some of the things that happened over on APEC. Does anyone else have any experiences? Because there was, and that ties back to actually Israel Palestine. So on the Oakland Greens Instagram page, you can see the ending of the kind of the blockade of the federal building for Jewish Voices for Peace and Not in Our Name, when they were letting everyone out. There, and I happened to be there at that time too. So there was actual rallies and stuff here in Oakland around it as well. That's all kind of tied together. Nothing? Okay. Moving on is just the Treasury Report, and we're just at it here. So after all of these are all after deposit, sorry. Wait. Yeah, no, I think it's right. After deposits are Oakland Greens, the BMO account now. It's not Bank of the West anymore. It's $387.78. Let me pull up the actual. Actually, ask me on my phone and log in so I can get to our online bank. Oh no, it didn't. Cool. After deposits, the Oakland Green business checking is at $1,404.58. And our Oakland Green business savings is still $200.84. Actually, it's $205.84. The available balance, $200.84, and the available balance on the Oakland Green business check. Then the same, the PayPal is still the same, $194 and some change. And yeah, still, we don't have a lot of expenses. We still didn't reach the goal that, of course, I wanted, but I suspect that next year we will have to hire an accountant, especially because of doing the in-person events. I actually look forward to that. Sorry, I was blowing my nose. Any questions about Treasury? And everyone does remember too, Bank of the West got bought out, and now it's a completely different bank. Seeing none, moving on. Social media, of course, like I said, Oakland Green's IG account, I did broadcast live with the two, and social media we do engage on all of our channels. And still, always is the thing that, keeps us afloat, which is which goes right into outreach. The only outreach that I have been doing again is actually by random. I happen to be where rallies are. I was also, there's some specific hotel strikes, workers and stuff strikes that are going on. So I was there as well, and I'm always, the other outreach I'm always wearing, not today, but Oakland, the Oakland Greens t-shirts, and people come up. Well, and really what it does is that people who actually know Korean come up and ask me if, do I know what it says? And I was like, well, I hope so, because I had it translated for my family. So lovely, Dale's wife translating for us always. So yeah, that's from my side on Oakland Greens. Anyone have anything else on outreach at all? No? Oh, yes, Orlando, please.
I apologize, I'm eating, but during my county council campaign, I'm gonna be spreading the word out about the Oakland Greens, the council, the green voter guides, how we can get people to come get involved. And basically use this opportunity to just continue to keep learning from Greg and your leadership to never quit. Over.
And that's what you alluded to before, that people still came out even though it was raining, and you were able to get your signatures, which is great. All right. Seeing nothing else to move for adjournment. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. This is everyone is here, Oakland, and again, this is Vicente Cruz, Oakland Greens event and fundraising coordinator. And we will see you in 2024. We'll see you online, and we will see you at our December meeting. Take care, everybody.
All right, thanks.
Ciao.
Happy Thanksgiving.